All right, we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Okay, so the 94th Academy Awards just wrapped up. I'm gonna hang on. Let me fix this a little bit. I'm like, didn't want to be that off-centered. Anyways, so the 94th Academy Awards are over. CODA has been crowned as this year's Best Picture winner. It also took along Supporting Actor and Adapted Screenplay. And, I can't bury the lead here. 96% accuracy this year, 22 out of 23 categories. I needed a calm night like this, where absolutely everything is scripted and everything is good to go. Okay, yeah, I know, guys. I know. All right, we'll get there, I promise. Wait for it. All good things to those who wait, okay? Okay, so anyways, yeah, really quick, we'll just recap the winners here. So yeah, we mentioned CODA taking home 3. Dune took home the 6 I had it down for, including editing, in a pretty tricky category there. Let's see what else. It took cinematography, it took sound, it took visual effects, production design, and score. That's the 6 there. Otherwise, I think that's it for the multiple winners. Eyes of Tammy Faye. Eyes of Tammy Faye took 2. That's right. But otherwise, yeah, it was mostly like King Richard got the one we all had it down for, unless you were taking it for editing. Let's see, West Side Story had it down for, had the one we had it down for, supporting actress. Belfast had the one I had it down for, original screenplay, which I think, again, a lot of people, I think, did switch to that one recently, at least. And what else? I mean, No Time to Die had the one, one out of its 3, and Encanto 1 out of its 3 that I think, again, most people got. Unless you were going for an outsider there, which was, it's always possible. And with this, it was like, yeah, I kind of knew, I said, there's almost no way I go into this and I actually get them all right if I'm going with all the safe choices. I'm like, somewhere, something is going to happen. And it's weird because I was kind of reading the announcements as they were coming out there early on, the ones that were not televised, which I have a joke about that later, so yeah, don't worry about it. But I think the only upset, the only one I got wrong was animated short, The Windshield Wiper. And it was funny because I was like, well, what about Beastia? And Windshield Wiper had never crossed my mind. Robin was the one I had down. But yeah, Long Goodbye won the other short, and Queen of Basketball also for documentary short, so... yeah, so that's, those went to script. Documentary went to script with Summer of Soul. International film, of course, went to Drive My Car, which was not a big surprise. So, yeah, I think literally that was about it. I mean, there really wasn't much to discuss there among the winners, because it's like, okay, most of them had won somewhere before, except probably Dune hadn't won really, maybe aside from a few critics prizes or something, editing prizes. So that one, it was tricky, but it was like, I was like, I don't feel like King Richard has that one. Power of the Dog, I don't think so. Tick, Tick, Boom. It's a passion vote for sure, but I didn't know if it would be enough to bubble over and everything. And yeah, in the lead categories here, Troy Kotzer and Ariana DeBose felt pretty good for their supporting categories. Will Smith, we all knew for lead actor. More on him in a minute. And Best Actress, Jessica Chastain, I think, yeah, we were all, most of us were getting that one, if you weren't going for the upset Penelope Cruz there. Which, yeah, I mean, through the night I was, like, sensing it, because it's like they kept going through the categories, and it's like, nope, that was what I picked. When the two screenplays went to plan as well with CODA and Belfast, I was like, something's going to happen. I'm like, something is going to happen, and something did, but we'll get there. But no, I was like, because I think those were presented after, right? Or before the moment, right? They had to have been. Or were they after? Oh, no. Where's my, do I have the order correct here? Oh, no, yeah, these were presented right before. Okay, not way too long before. But anyways, we'll get there, guys, yeah. Anyway, so when those two, I was like, okay, yeah, I was like, I'm going to slip up somewhere. But then, yep, Jane Campion, Will Smith, Jessica Chastain, and CODA. And that's in the order of, I think, the way they were presented there. Director, actor, actress, picture. So, yeah, so good unto the Academy for presenting Best Picture last, as it should be, I think. I think they learned from their mistake last year. I think all the nominees were there for Best Actor and Best Actress, so if they wanted to repeat what they did last year, there wasn't a risk of a no-show like Anthony Hopkins last year. So, Still, that being said, though, yeah, I do agree with the sentiment that, yeah, Best Picture is what the show leads up to. I get that we want to, as we should have this year, and they have done most of I think almost all the years previous for televised stuff, at least, we should be able to see and hear everyone's full speech, and all the awards are awards. They should be treated as such. And we don't need to necessarily say, you're not important enough, blah, 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 blah. So, anyways, so yeah, that all being said, though, mostly, I mean, because all this season I've been forgetting to mention, like, all the speeches and stuff, but this year, I really didn't think there was a terrible speech in the bunch. Yeah, I mean, just to recap that really quick, everybody had a great thing. Even some of the introductions, I think, were fantastic. Kevin Costner's, when he was talking about directors and how the West was won, and how that inspired him to become a director, and how it changed his life and everything, I was like, dude, that's phenomenal. I was like, that's really, even that speech alone, I think, is going to motivate some people that were watching this tonight. I mean, wow. I mean, Branagh's speech was classy, super classy. We'll circle back to another one. Jessica Chastain's I really liked. I think the only one, the producers of CODA, I think it was toward the end, it was a little jumbled, I felt. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I get it. You're in the excitement there. Troy Kotzer's was really good. Ariana's was really good. Sean's was pretty good for CODA for the adapted screenplay. Questlove was very emotional for his win for Summer of Soul. That was, I mean, I'm sure I'll try to get to some of these films that I didn't see this year. Obviously, I've still got the biggest ones, West Side Story and Licorice Pizza, to still catch up with. But yeah, just seeing the reaction there from Questlove for Summer, I'm like, yeah, the Summer of Soul is probably one I should watch. Yeah. And yeah, him being all emotional, I was like, yeah, I felt bad that I hadn't seen that one. Let's see, what else here? Now we're getting into the categories that they did not present, but for everybody to see. They kind of did the brief highlights or whatever. But no, I think they all did a really good job. And again, we'll get back to it here. So I guess because I took notes through the night for stuff that either really bugged me or stuff where I'm like, okay, I gotta have if I'm gonna have a soapbox moment. And I was glad I did, because so many of these categories went to plan. Again, for me, not to brag, 22 out of 23. So it's like, I was like, I really don't. I'm like, what am I going to talk about in this after video? Oh, there's a couple things to talk about. But no, let's get to this is just chronologically through the show. But I'm debating, because I'm like, okay, I've got one chance to do this, and I'm like, okay, do we want to go there? Have you guys waited long enough? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was going to go chronologically, and we would work our way up to that moment, but it was like, I don't know, I don't feel like that's going to work, because it's like, okay, nothing up to the show obviously could have prepared us for that moment. Nothing that had happened previous really, again, was like, wow. And I'm remembering a few years back here, funny enough, the last time the Oscars probably had this much of a headline, this big of a splash, the first thing I did was start cursing after Moonlight had won. So I think I think in honor of that, after we've gone through the winners here, and I've, milked this moment long enough, let's talk about it. We don't talk about Bruno, well, let's talk about Will Smith. Okay. Not a bad joke to go into, I'm sure. But anyways, wow. Holy shit. What the hell was that? Wow. I gotta say, somebody who has watched Will Smith movies for all my life, and seen enough clips from Fresh Prince, I gotta say that was equal parts funny at first, and then head-scratching, and finally very, the moment of realization was very, very, just shocking that this was not something that was staged. At least, if it wasn't staged, if it was staged, they acted the hell out of that. And Will Smith deserves that Oscar and more. And I'm not trying to be funny about it. Well, okay, maybe. It might come off as funny. But yeah, seriously, if that was a scripted moment to try to get ratings, wow, they did an incredible job. But I gotta say, I really don't think that was scripted, guys. Like the Moonlight thing, Sometimes if it feels like that would be incredibly smart if they scripted it, it's, because of how dumb it is or whatever. It's probably not. It, take the stupidity over the intelligence as far as explanations. That's what I'm reading here. And that's obviously, in the moment we can we can kind of recap it here. So Chris Rock was up there, and I mean, seriously, we had the three hosts, and they did, I think all of them at least had one chuckle out of me, but very mixed, very, very mixed bag for me for the hosts. For Amy Schumer and for Wanda Sykes and for Regina Hall, I had a very mixed bag to their material. I think probably the funniest things to me were Wanda Sykes coming out as King Richard. That was pretty good, and her the little short thing they did where she was at the Academy Museum, which obviously it's a big plug for the Academy Museum. But they had so much fun with that. The Harvey Weinstein reference was killer. A couple other moments here and there where she's like, oh, look, here's the representation for all the black directors who have won Oscars. That was killer. That was great. But then, so up to that moment, I'm like, yeah, it's like there were a couple big laughs, or not even big laughs. There were a couple chuckles for me. But the big laughs were Chris Rock. When he was first up there and when he was telling some jokes, I was like, dude, this guy hosted before, and he's a great, I think he did a pretty good job in 2015. The ceremony was in 2016 for the films of 2015. You get what I mean? So I was like, yeah, he did a great job. And then he told the G.I. Jane joke, and wow. And, of course, you guys, if you weren't watching it live, you've seen it by now. Yep, Will Smith comes up and not quite slaps him, but every angle I'm seeing, it doesn't look like he actually makes contact with him. Because I think Chris Rock backs up just enough. But he slaps slaps. Because again, it's just every angle I've seen, it's like, okay, I'm not quite sure if it doesn't feel like it's making contact. I mean, the sound is there, so it's like that could have easily been, faked or whatever. But, and that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories are going to start, I think. But that being said, it's like, yeah. And then he walks away. At first, like he's like adjusting his tie like a James Bond moment. But then he sits down and starts screaming at Chris Rock, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!" And he does that twice. And it's like, oh. Because when it was happening live, the version I saw, it was very cut. And I think that was the version that everybody in North America saw. But later somebody did post the actual thing. And it was like, oh, yeah, everybody in the room just got really quiet. And Chris Rock's reaction was like, yeah, that should be proof that, yeah, that was probably 99% we can say was not scripted. Because he's like, it was a G.I. Jane joke. And, in all honesty, if we want to be a little soapboxy here for a moment, I don't know how everybody's going to react to this, but not my 2 cents, who cares? But I don't know how everybody's going to react to this Will Smith thing. But I got to say, even, and I don't have the experience he has. I'm not somebody who's married and has kids, and I don't have a significant other who has, and I had heard this before, so when I got reminded of it by some of the people there early on Twitter who were talking about it, I don't have a significant other who has the disease that she had or the condition that she has where, yeah, she is, her follically, her hairs aren't growing back or whatever. So I don't have that. That being said, I really think that was not the correct reaction to that. I really think that was not a moment we should celebrate as far as Will Smith doing everything correct and Chris Rock doing everything wrong. I really disagree with that notion. I don't know if that's going to be the popular narrative or not. If it is, then shame on everybody, because that's not correct. Because it is, whether or not he actually makes contact with him on the slap or if it's a punch or whatever, that's violence. That's, that's not good. We can't promote that. And Will Smith, being very tearful and apologizing in his speech later, there's one thing I want to say about that too, but one big point, but he knows that's wrong, and I think obviously, as we've mentioned before, that is one of the most tense rooms you will ever see in your life, because everybody in that room has paid thousands, if not millions of dollars to be there. through campaigning. They've spent hours, days, weeks, months, not just doing the film work, but doing promotional work, campaigning, doing everything to be there. And hopefully crossing their fingers that they can get up on stage and give a speech and accept an award. So that's a very tough room to be in and try to get laughs out of that particular audience. Now, you can play to the audience at home all you want, and you're going to get better results, probably 9 times out of 10. But, wow, I think for that particular audience especially, it's like, yeah, they're a very tense, very, at times non-jovial group and everything. They're there to celebrate movies and to celebrate the movies of this year and to honor them, but it's also, it's promotions, it's money, it's all the above. It's all that stuff too. So yeah, I'm not trying to, and I'm not making excuses, because I think what Will Smith did was wrong. I think that it was arguably completely unwarranted in some ways, and I think that's just my personal opinion, because again, I'm somebody who says, you know what? If you're going to make a dark joke, own it. I have an aptitude. I have a good ear for dark humor, and that was dark humor. Even more dark after you remember everything with Jada Pinkett Smith and what she's gone through and stuff. And yeah, that's a pretty dark joke. And I still think, you know what? In the moment, I laughed, and I think a lot of people in the room laughed. And not undeservedly so. And the only other tweet I've seen that's really been very defensive of Chris Rock was actually from a pal of his, David Spade, who said, over a G.I. Jane joke. Now, obviously, he's trying to be funny on Twitter, too. But it's like, yeah, you know what? Now, sure. Is it a little rude? Is it kind of disrespectful to her? Is it very, personal? Yeah. It's still a joke. It's still a show. You're there to do a show. They hired Chris Rock. They brought him on. They said, do your thing, because it's a show. And Will Smith, as much as he's protecting his wife and protecting her credibility and defending her, I don't know if that's enough to say, go up there, punch the guy, or try to punch the guy, slap the guy, whatever, and start screaming profanities at him on, and again, take the live television part out of it. I was going to say on live television, but no, take that part out of it. In any scenario, I don't know if that's very appropriate. So I don't mean to be too much on a soapbox, and again, I don't have the experience he does. If it was me in that situation, maybe I, in the moment, would have done the same thing. I can't, totally come off and say I'm not going to be 100% a hypocrite if I was in the same situation. I can't say I wouldn't try to beat the living daylights out of somebody if they totally insulted somebody who I loved and cared about. So yeah, that if we're getting that stuff out of the way, yes. I do have to say, in this particular case, I think if Chris Rock crossed a line first, it was, like if the line is here, he crossed it like this. If this is the same line, I can't, okay, we'll do it this way. If this is a line, here's Will Smith, he definitely crossed it in a bigger way. But that being said, when he did get on stage and when he did give his speech, when he was talking about the film, I thought he did as good a job as he has done through this season, giving great acceptance speeches. And when he was apologizing for his behavior, and he was talking about how Denzel, and it's true, there is video of Denzel, and I suppose I've heard Tyler Perry, though it's a little hard to see. They did pull him aside right the next commercial break after the incident happened, and they calmed him down. They're like, dude, that was insane, And Denzel, I believe, quoted Denzel, and he said, I can't remember the exact quote right now, but yeah, it was about the devil gets you at your highest moments or whatever. Right, but right as you're about to achieve something great, that's where the devil can get you. It was something along those lines, and it's like, well, yeah, again, yeah, I mean, I get it, and again, even to my peanut brain in that extent, for again what I've had for a love life, which is nada, but even in that moment, I'm like, okay, part of me says, okay, I see what happened here. And a part of me says I can't 100% say I wouldn't do that myself in the same situation. But wow, makes for great television, doesn't it? Makes for great ratings. I want to see tomorrow how big a bump that moment got, and how many people tuned in afterwards. Not just to see the rest of the Oscars and see what else happens, but particularly if people are following this generally and they're like, oh, Will Smith is likely to win. What's he going to say? How's he going to react to this and stuff? So for the rest of his speech, I got to commend him a lot. The only thing that I think is crucial The only thing that's crucial here, he did not, that I heard, and I'll probably play it again sometime soon. Play it again, Sam. Is in the speech when he was apologizing, he did not apologize to Chris Rock. Now, he might have just forgotten to do that in the moment, but I hope that's the case. If it's not, and he's really going to hold a grudge, again, to hold a grudge like that is, in my personal opinion, that's not being the gentleman, that's not being the courteous one, the one who has done the bigger wrong and saying, I'm acknowledging that. No, I hope that he's going to actually, call himself on the carpet for it later and say, look, I got to reach out to Chris Rock and I got to say, dude, I shouldn't have done that. It's all he needed to do, but he didn't do it. And obviously, again, like I said, it was in the moment, and again, all these people have been doing campaigning and spending thousands, if not millions of dollars and everything. So I can give him some grace on that part. But it's like, I really think in that moment, the way I've been raised, it's like, no, in that moment, you got to apologize to everybody. You got to apologize, especially to the person that you feel has wronged you. If you go over, you cross that line further than they did, you exasperate the situation further than they did, that is the moment that you've got to go on your knees, you got to apologize, you got to say, I did this wrong. And Will Smith did not do that, at least in the moment. Now, again, he can very easily fix that, and I'm sure he will. If he is as much the man as I think he is, and I grew up watching, then I think he will do it in short order. He might have actually be doing it as we're speaking now, but if not, yeah, I don't really like that situation if that's still the case, that he is not apologizing to Chris Rock. And I don't know, maybe again I'm speaking to an audience here who's going to say, no, Will Smith did everything perfect, and you're dumb for thinking. I don't know how you guys are going to react to it, or how you reacted to it, but that's my 2 cents on that. Now, there's a couple good jokes, by the way, that we'll get back to with that, but because overall, I think, like the Moonlight situation, I think we're all going to be laughing about this in short order, and we're all going to be like, wow, remember that? It's like, it's a streaker moment. It's it's all the classic Oscar moments like that, where the little things happen, and all of a sudden, it explodes into a big thing. So, yeah. As far as the actual show itself, okay, let me go through my notes here. So the opening was the Venus Serena Williams introducing Beyonce as she performed the song from King Richard, which was done at the Compton tennis court, supposedly the very same ones that they practiced on as kids or teens, or however old they were. Maybe preteens, but yeah. Anyways, and I got the sentiment, I got what they were going for and stuff, but I still think if it was me calling the shot, I maybe would have said, let's do it on stage, because that would have been a great way to open the show in the auditorium, get people in the auditorium pumped up, if you're not going to do something that happened later. Now, and again, I get the sentiment, and I probably, I don't know, maybe everybody else is going to disagree, and they said they did it perfectly by doing it in the Compton tennis court. But I don't know. I think that would have been great to see on stage. And it looked like, just from the staging of it and stuff, it's not something that was impossible to do in the Dolby Theater there. So, anyways. Let's see. I think in the monologue, the opening monologue, where all three of them were there, my biggest laugh of that was the last couple of years has been rough. Look at Timothée Chalamet, and they cut to J.K. Simmons. That was great. That was great. That made me laugh out loud. LOL, whatever. And then Sam Jackson, when he was liking the suggestions of like lines or whatever from them, I can't remember what that was all about. I wrote that down, but yeah, that got a smile from me. And then Amy Schumer's probably biggest laugh was right after that, when she was talking about Serena and Venus. She was like, a movie that was about the incredible Williams sisters' dad. That was perfectly delivered. Perfectly delivered. I smiled off that. One big thing, I was a huge, early on, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Is when they said starring, and they literally gave away all of their presenters. They literally left no surprises for who was going to be presenting, and I thought that is a shame. The fact that they gave away that Francis Ford Coppola and De Niro and Pacino were going to be there. Now, obviously, I had heard, and I didn't say it, I don't think I said it in the other video, but that was something I think they wanted to keep as a surprise, but word leaked out that they were probably going to do something around The Godfather and that they were going to get some people there. Now, I don't know if the people included, if I don't know if that was necessarily like the early rumors, like, okay, it was those three, plus like Diane Keaton, Robert Duvall, James Caan, some of the other, originals there, who were, on the first film or on the second film. But, yeah. I don't know, but it was like putting all the presenters up front and going through. I'm like, oh, I thought that was a huge mistake. Again, maybe people would disagree with me. I thought that was a gigantic mistake because, again, that leaves no surprises for who your presenters are later on in the night, and you're just waiting. You're just waiting for Kevin Costner to come on because you heard his name earlier. You're waiting for Lady Gaga, as she is going to come on later and do Best Picture. Now, I can't remember if Liza Minnelli was in there, but yeah, when she was there, I was like, oh, it was really sad to see her in the case that she's in. Maybe Will Smith. Okay, I was gonna, you know what? Fine, we'll do it in the spirit of dark humor. Maybe Will Smith slapped her too, and she ended up in the wheelchair. I don't know, but I know that was super dark. Sorry, guys, but see, this is what I'm talking about when I say that's why I'm always a proponent of, you know what? If you got to laugh, you got to joke. Go ahead and say it. You know what? Because that's the world I like to live in, where you can make whatever joke you want to do. Now, if you want to apologize afterwards, and if it comes off bad, yeah, then of course, yeah, go out of your way and do that. Maybe that wasn't a great joke, but still, and I thought of that, and I'm like, oh, that is the darkest. Yeah, because I don't know what her what condition. It looked like she had like a Parkinson's or something that was restricting her there, but yeah, and obviously that's really, really sad, because she's a legend. She's Liza Minnelli, but she got through it okay, I think, for her presentation. It kind of reminds me, a few years ago, Sidney Poitier was up there for helping present Best Director, and he also kind of struggled there. But yeah, so it's always a sad sight when you have these legends, doing that. Even Anthony Hopkins, I think, when he was up there, he kind of lost the teleprompter for a second there. I'm like, yeah, the guy's getting closer to 90 now. Yeah. Which is, yeah, it's like, oof, just reminds you. I think he's actually 85 this year. So, it's like a lot of very great actors were born in 37. Warren Beatty was born in 37. Jack Nicholson was born in 37. Morgan Freeman, Hopkins. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them that were born that year. Great year for actors, but yeah. Anyway, so it's like really sad to think they're all going to be halfway to 90 in the 80 to 90 stretch or whatever, 85. You get what I mean? But anyways, so yeah, I was really disappointed that they gave away all their presenters and left really no surprises for the rest of the night. And again, there's plenty of examples of really, really, moments that were good, but the time that they spent on that was taking up space that could have been given to other awards. They presented 15 awards, and yet this show took longer than the last couple of shows, I believe, to do 15. With all the extra junk they threw in there, it took longer to do fewer awards this year. When the whole goal, how ironic that is, the whole goal, sorry if I can talk, was to make this show shorter, but they couldn't do it. Now, obviously, you got a ringer in there with the Will Smith moment, and obviously, when he was up there, you're not going to cut him. You're going to let him say his piece, even if he's on for 20 minutes. You're going to let him talk. I get that, but yeah, and it's obvious too. You want to do like the Bond presentation, which I have to say, the clip package, the editing on that was phenomenal. I couldn't, if you literally gave me that task, I don't know if I could have done it as well as they did. Being a Bond fan all my life, not all my life, but for a long, long time, and knowing those movies at one point in my life inside and out. A couple of them I haven't seen in a few years, so I don't know. That, like I was talking about in the last video toward the end, when I was like, okay, what else can I do in the meantime here in the off season? It was like doing a whole ranking of all the James Bond films was one I immediately thought of, and everything there. And it's like, yeah, I would really need to sit down and watch all of them all the way through again to to really refresh my memory and say, okay, how well are these films sticking in my memory on that? But then also how well are they holding up and everything. But and it was again a great presentation, a great package. Really would have been nice to see some Bond actors there. Daniel Craig wasn't there when his film had 3 nominations this year and actually had a win. Pierce Brosnan couldn't be bothered. Timothy Dalton couldn't be bothered. I know he's starting to get up there in years too, but he couldn't be bothered. George Lazenby couldn't be bothered. Again, he's up there, but in years. But we obviously know Sean and Roger Moore are no longer with us. But and it was also really weird that they picked Tony Hawk and some of those other guys to present that little package. I was like, yeah, because the first thing I think of with James Bond is Tony Hawk. I don't know. Maybe it's the stunts part of it. I'm like, okay, in some weird way that makes sense, but I don't know. But again, it's like, unless it's the actual Bond actors presenting it, that would have been the way to do it. But I don't know. Kind of like, again, there's a clip from way long ago. Roger Moore and Sean Connery did present an award together. It really didn't make any sense because I think it was just after the year that Sean Connery had won for The Untouchables. But anyways, yeah. Let's see, for the performance of We Don't Talk About Bruno, that's the next note I made. I really thought, if you're not going to do this King Richard song, Beyonce song, in the Dolby Theater as your opening, that opening should have been, you should have advertised it up front, you should have just absolutely blown it out of the park and said, hey guys, the most popular song in recent memory? That's what the Oscars are opening up with, a performance of that song. That would have been a smash. Right away, right off the top, you would have gotten great rating numbers, and we would have seen, I would hope, a lot of people stick around and say, oh, okay, well, what else is happening? Is that going to win? There you go. You get people in. I think that would have been a great way to do it, but I think that would have been a smash. So that's my little pittance there, is like, oh, that could have been great. And it's like, otherwise I was like, that man, talk about ratings, I'm like, that would have been great. Oh, then we get what we bargained for there, didn't we? Because it wasn't long after that. That's when the Chris Rock, Will Smith moment happened. But yeah, again, I have to emphasize, up to that point, though, there weren't a lot of big laughs, but Chris Rock cracked me up. Even the G.I. Jane joke, I think, was funny. And again, we just went through that. But yeah, I gotta say, that is going to be one of the biggest moments, definitely in recent Oscar history. I think some people right away, they were jumping on it. They're like, this is better or, more memorable than the Moonlight moment. I'm like, okay, maybe. I mean, as far as like interactions go, like in the crowd and stuff, 100%. That's the most memorable moment you'll have in Oscar history, like ever. But as far as like stuff that you can meme about and tweet about and do all that stuff years later, we'll have to see how this shakes out in the next few days. But and see, is there going to be like a reconciliation between these two? Is there going to be, a Good Morning America come to Jesus moment between these two? I don't know. I just named that one. Today Show, whatever. It doesn't matter. Is there going to be, we'll see what happens with that in the next couple days. Because right away, I think we all knew, the Academy cannot live that down next year. And they did not. They brought Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway back to present Best Picture the following year and stuff. I think very much like the Adele Dazeem moment here a few years ago, they have to capitalize on this, no matter how badly unless this goes absolutely poorly. If Will Smith or Chris Rock start pressing charges or something, okay, maybe then you don't do it. You don't wade into that pool. But otherwise, you gotta capitalize on this next year. You gotta go in and say, okay, presenting such and such category, here is Will Smith and Chris Rock. It better happen. As long as these two can get along. That's gotta happen, Academy. If you don't do that, you are blowing a huge opportunity. Absolutely blowing a huge opportunity. Okay, so it was not long after that they did for presentation of Best Actor, they did John Travolta, Uma Thurman, and Sam Jackson up there. Why those three doing it in honor of Pulp Fiction on an odd year? Because it was weird, because it's like, okay, they had Juno, 3 of the actors from Juno up there doing the presentation of original screenplay, and it's like, that was 15 years ago. It makes sense. Technically it was 14, but yeah, nobody cares at this point. The year, the year doesn't quite add up because it wasn't quite 15 years ago that the actual award was handed out. It was only 14. It was 15 years this year since the movie came out, and I think that's what they were going for. But the presentation itself was in 2008. The film released in 2007. You get what I mean? I'm a big stickler for that stuff. But anyways, so it's like, okay, that one made a little more sense because it's like it's on an actual like anniversary like that, a 5 or a 0 anniversary. This was on the 28th or technically 27th anniversary. So doesn't make sense. But, okay, I had to make a joke here. What's the bigger sin? Will Smith not taking a joke or cutting away when John Travolta is dancing? Because right away when he came out, he started to do the, do the twists there like he does in the film. And Uma started dancing as well. I would imagine that was planned or whatever. But still, right away they started cutting to audience reactions. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That is John fucking Travolta, and he is doing one of his most iconic moments in screen history. You show that whole thing, you sons of bitches. But yeah, later they did, and they kind of showed that. But my first reaction was, wow, you guys blew that big time. Wow, what are you doing? But yeah, I think we figured it out. But anyways, and because they brought out the briefcase, of course. Here's my next joke about that. What was in the briefcase all this time? Because that's a big joke in Pulp Fiction. Is it Marcellus Wallace's soul? Is it a gold bar? And that's literally why it's shining gold. Is it it's all these things. I'll tell you what, it was the best, and they present it was the best actor, whatever. No, it's a slap from Will Smith. That's what's in the briefcase all this time. Okay, that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good. Anyways, that was good. And my next joke was, if I ever need a bodyguard, first person I'm calling is Will Smith. And lastly, the one that made me laugh the hardest, I didn't even write this down during the moment, but after they called his name for Best Actor, he kissed Jada Pinkett, which is, obviously, everybody does that. But I was like, Jada Pinkett Smith is whispering to him, "Don't punch anybody, don't punch anybody," as he walks upstage. I seriously, I said that to myself as it was happening, and I laughed my ass off. For a long time, I laughed my ass off. Okay. I think that's my last Will Smith joke. But yeah, I gotta live in it, guys. That was huge. That's an iconic moment now. That's Oscar history. That is Oscar history. Wow. The other thing, wow, I gotta say, there's the last time that Amy Schumer was up there by herself. She was, in the middle of a seat filler joke, and then she mentioned Ukraine and LGBTQ or trans people are getting all their rights taken away. And it was the delivery on that and the timing of that was so god awful. I mean, if we're got to be serious, if you're taking, I don't know how everybody take. Obviously, the Ukraine thing, we're all, I think, in agreement. Yeah, that's a pretty serious situation. The trans thing, usually, I think we'll all say, again, I don't know everybody's personal politics or opinions on that, but it's like, yeah, that's, you don't want to make try to make a serious joke about that. Because especially, I think this was this right before or right after? I think it was before. It had to have been before Jessica Chastain, before she was handed Best Actress, but because she mentioned LGBTQ community, because that was a large part of the role, a part of Tammy Faye. So yeah, it was 100% appropriate when she was talking about this stuff. But Amy Schumer, wow, that timing felt like it was a joke. And that, if that was a joke, that was the biggest bomb joke in a long time that I've seen. Because that, just that she threw it in the middle of it, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, there's a dark joke like what Chris Rock did here earlier in the night, but that is like pitch black. And it's like, I didn't even, not even ironically did I chuckle at that. Like, oh, bad timing, Schumer. I was like, no, that was just not funny. If she was trying to be funny, if she was trying to be serious about it, terrible timing. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's got different opinions on all this stuff, and I don't want to alienate anybody with it. But it's like, wow, that was an absolutely awful moment. And I get it. I know a lot of people out there are not fans of Amy Schumer, and some people actually were probably turned off by her being a host this year and stuff. But it's like Trainwreck I thought was hilarious. Since then, when she's done stuff, I don't think she's ever matched that. I don't think I've ever laughed at anything, as hard as I laughed at Trainwreck at the time when it came out and stuff. And I've rewatched that, but I think it still holds up as a pretty good comedy and everything. And she did write the movie, true. And I'm sure, like, there is on all the comedies, I'm sure there's improv and stuff, too. So I don't think she gets credit for every last joke in the movie. But still, since then, it's like I haven't seen any of her films since then. They just really haven't interested me, or the ads haven't sold me on them. Yeah, so I'm like, on this particular case, I was like, oh, I really thought that landed like a turd in a punch bowl, as Robin Williams used to say. Just absolutely oof, terrible, terrible timing on that. So yeah, anyway, and my last joke or whatever, the last note I made was, how ironic it was that they cut 8 categories to try to shorten the show, and yet this one, and I believe this is accurate, 3 hours and 42 minutes. That's longer than last year's, which was 3 hours 19 minutes. Longer than 2019's, which was 3 hours 36 minutes. That was longer than 2018 at 3 hours 21 minutes. Not quite as long as the Shape of Water year. That one was very close to 4 hours. But yeah, that's your longest show with that exception. That's the longest show you've had in 5 years. So very ironic that they were there's already a part here on the Chris Rock and Will Smith altercation. Oh my god. Like I said, this is gonna be a moment here. This is gonna be a moment here. And yes, okay, this is actually confirmed here. He did not mention Rock in his acceptance speech. So that wasn't just my mental error. That's actually something that happened. Good. At least Wikipedia right now is confirming that for me, as much we can confirm anything on Wikipedia, but still. So yeah, I just think, in this case, how ironic for the Academy that, they tried to, again, I'm making this point several times now, but it doesn't matter. It's like they try to make this a short show, but it's even longer than the last couple of years. So, yeah. I don't know. And I think generally, the reaction to, you cut all these categories, I don't think it's been a positive one. I don't think anybody's going to come out of this show and say, wow, they did such a great job cutting those 8 categories. No. I don't think anybody's coming off of that and saying that was excellent. That's the way it should be done. So, yeah. I don't know. I hope that's an easy fix for next year, because I think everybody deserves to have that moment. And they should have that full moment. They should not just get a little truncated 10-second clip if you're in a category that is viewed as being less than some of the other ones. Now, again, like I said, though, when you have a moment like we had tonight and you want to give Will Smith an extra minute, or 2, or 3 in his case, maybe. Now, that's something you just gotta play with, and you gotta do that as it comes, but, and obviously, if everything is like we think it is here, where it is not planned, which again, nothing I'm seeing here says that it was. And we'll see if there is some kind of PR spin tomorrow or over the next week. But still, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought on that. But anyways, something about the. So just how that's a unique moment and stuff, and it's like, when stuff like that happens, then you have to try to fix things when stuff like that happens, and you have to try to work with that. But again, hopefully this is an easy correctable mistake that the Academy can learn from. And next year, definitely they got to do the Chris Rock Will Smith thing. They got to do that. Okay, let me see here. Stunning. I'm just looking right away at like some of the reactions here and stuff. I want to see. Are they? I'm just reading Deadline right now to see if they're apologizing for Will Smith, or if they are. If they're who they're defending or whatever. Ooh, okay. So here's something I did not know. Supposedly, Chris Rock did go up to Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith to apologize for it. Again, like I said, in situations like that where, okay, your joke obviously did not land or whatever, it wasn't what you intended, then yeah, sometimes it is appropriate, and in this case I would say it probably was, to go ahead and say, look, guys, I'm sorry if that wasn't for you. I thought it would be a funny joke. That's all Chris Rock, I'm sure, wanted to do. And maybe take a selfie with them and show the internet, yeah, we're okay. We beefed, we settled the beef and all that. Supposedly, okay, that's maybe where Denzel and Tyler Perry stepped in case Will Smith was going to have a very, very negative reaction to that, Anyways, but and yeah, it is true. Yeah, he did not apologize to Rock on stage. So, okay. Anyway, so yeah, and I really hope again that we don't just see everybody just jump out and start defending Will Smith in this case, because again, I think he was the more wrong of the two in this case, and he absolutely, all he really has to do is apologize, which he already did to the Academy and stuff. And yeah, with Chris Rock, I think all he has to do is apologize, and then it's like, okay, then it becomes we got over it. Now we can just laugh at it. We can just look back on it and smile and laugh and say, "Wow, that was crazy shit when that happened." Okay, so yeah, we ended up talking a lot about that part of it and less so about the winners here. But yeah, doesn't matter. You go with what you go with, I guess. But yeah, wow. Anyways, but yeah, I gotta say. It is interesting because we talked about some of the history last video, I should say, where CODA, yes, it is our first Best Picture winner since the film editing category has been established to win Best Picture without a director nomination or an editing nomination. Jane Campion and Power of the Dog becomes the first film since The Graduate to win only Best Director, even though it has multiple nominations, including Best Picture nomination. I'm trying to think here. Let's see here. The one everybody already knew Troy Kotsur being the second hearing impaired actor to win an Oscar. This is Kenneth Branagh's first Oscar win. He's been nominated, I think we counted up one other time. He's been nominated 7 or 8 times or something like that, including 3 nominations here today for producing and directing Belfast as well as writing it. Let me see here. Obviously, Questlove got his first Oscar here. Japan, I think, ties or comes close to tying most wins from a particular country for the international feature category. Riz Ahmed was somebody who was behind The Long Goodbye, so he is now an Oscar winner. So it's kind of like, okay, Chadwick couldn't win last year. Riz Ahmed, took a few things last year for some of those like indie spirits and stuff. So now he's an Oscar winner, so it's like, oh, it's kind of sad. We still can't say that about Chadwick. Hans Zimmer picked up his second Oscar win. So he's, I think for composers, his is the longest stretch between a first and a second win. I think somebody had pointed that out, I believe, and I as far as I know, the math works on that. Let's see here. No Time to Die becomes the third Bond song to have won original song, and I think Billie Eilish is one of the youngest, if not the youngest, winners in that category. What else do we want to say? Dune matches the Mad Max Fury Road as far as wins in the tech categories. Some of them actually in the same categories too. Not all. It's not 100% a repeat, and obviously we've lost a sound category since then. But yeah. Otherwise. I think generally for the films that got the most nominations and stuff, they all left with something, because King Richard had a bunch of nominations, 6 nominations. That took home Best Actor. Power of the Dog took home Director for Jane Campion, who was the writer and a co-producer on it. CODA took its 3, and Sian Heder, who was only nominated and only eligible to win an Oscar in the screenplay category, she got hers. Belfast picked up 1 for screenplay, so Kenneth Branagh got something. Unless you're Don't Look Up or Licorice Pizza or Nightmare Alley, you should be happy tonight. I mean, you got what everybody said you were going to get. You didn't disappoint. So, yeah. Anyways, it's kind of funny because every once in a while I hear about some people are like, oh, that was one of my favorite films this year, and it's one of those three that didn't win anything. And it's like, oh, that's too bad. But so yeah, for those folks, yeah, I know. Like American Hustle was one of my favorites that year. That didn't win anything. Nebraska I liked even better. That was my favorite of the nominees that year. That didn't win anything. So it happens. It happens. It happens. Anyways, yeah, I guess that's all I got for now. Wow, because I don't think I can top that. I don't think I can top what happened there. That's a great iconic moment now. Yeah, so I think I like I said, as far as that stuff, just closing the door on that one more time. I'm going to reiterate. I really hope that is just a I really hope it's something that can get really, really smashed quickly, and everybody gets over it, particularly the two parties involved, and that that we can move on from that. And yeah, again, hopefully it's just something we can just laugh about tomorrow, right now and tomorrow and the day after, up until next year at the Oscars, where again, hopefully, fingers crossed, they do. The Academy realizes what happened there and said, "Hey, let's make this good," and then maybe they can play it up for the cameras even more so next year. Comes out, Chris Rock gets his revenge. I can just write these storylines right, and I know some people made the comparison right where they're like, "Oh, this is just WWE." What's his name? The organizer guy for WWE. That's just some of his bullshit. It almost came to me. Sorry. The guy who ran it or whatever for a long time. Whatever. Vince. Is it Vince something? I don't know. Whatever the guy's name was. It's like, oh, he's behind this. Blah blah. Because I already saw a couple tweets about that. And I'm like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but. Who knows? Yeah, and in this case, the way everything played out, again, like I said to a couple people tonight, I'm like, who are watching with me, I was like, not physically with me, but I was texting with, whatever. I was like, if that was staged, they couldn't have played that better. There's seriously no way you can make that look more real than they did, and fake that any better than they did, because that was incredible. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes down. But yeah, as far as that goes, yes. For myself, having not seen Licorice Pizza or West Side Story quite yet, either Belfast or CODA winning for picture, I was going to be happy with. Campion, I think right away I said after I saw the film, I'm like, yeah, she did a great job on the film. So if she wins director, I think she's a worthy choice in that category. And yeah, I do love Will Smith. Probably of those five, that's a really tough call. Because Cumberbatch was awesome in Power of the Dog. Andrew Garfield was really great in Tick, Tick, Boom. Bardem I really liked in Being the Ricardos. Denzel is Denzel. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough pick for who my personal favorite in that category is. For Best Actress, having not seen Penelope Cruz, I think probably actually Nicole Kidman was my favorite there. But still, Chastain is an absolutely worthy winner here. And then I think I've seen everybody but Ariana for Supporting Actress. So I'm give me mulligan on that one. I'll come back to you. And I have seen the 5 in Supporting Actor. Troy was far and ahead my favorite of those 5. But Kieran Hines, I think, maybe not far and ahead. Maybe he was a close second for me of those 5. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I'm genuinely happy with the winners here. I'm sure they're all, nice people. Okay, we're done with those. I'm going to restrict myself. No more jokes about that, okay? And I'm going to wrap this up, I swear. But yeah, generally I'm pretty happy with that. The show, as always, there's a couple twists and turns, couple bumps, couple things here and there where you're like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, one other thing I think I skipped my note on it. Here's the other thing. It was a really, for the in memoriam thing, when you have dancers and performers on stage, I thought that was a really poor decision. I think really poor decision. Now, the thing that I liked about it, they started with Tyler Perry talking about Sidney Poitier. And it's like, yeah, he made a big impact on Hollywood. Obviously, what he did, historic, mind-altering, and revolutionary for the time, with his Oscar win for, oh God, come on, Lily's in the Field. I knew I could get there. Yeah, so it's like, okay, if they want to single him out, okay, that's dessert. I'm not going to bat an eyelash at that and say, well, why don't they do that with, whatever. And then here comes Bill Murray with Ivan Reitman. I'm like, nice, very nice. And then you had Jamie Lee Curtis up there for Betty White, and I was like, with the pet, because Betty White was huge on pet adoption and stuff, and I was like I was like, that's a very nice way to do it. What I was a little I think is arguably disrespectful though, is when everybody else's name is up there. In some cases where they don't cut away and they just show full picture is the slideshow or whatever they're doing of the other names. Is you have the name still going by, but you focus more on, you put that more in the background, and you're focusing more on the dancers and the singers. No, I really think that's disrespectful. Because again, that's saying, oh, we don't care about you fuckers. Let's focus on Tyler Perry talking about Sidney Poitier. Let's focus on Jamie Lee Curtis talking about Betty White. Let's focus on Bill Murray talking about Ivan Reitman. And those other guys, we don't care. It's like that I thought was really, could be viewed as very disrespectful. So, I can't believe I skipped that note. Well, that's right after the Chris Rock thing, so maybe that's why. Sorry, again, I wasn't making a joke there. I was just saying that's where it was in the show. So I wasn't making a joke there, okay? 'Cause I know I feel like you guys are probably bored with that already. But anyways, but yeah, I really thought that was in some ways maybe viewed as disrespectful. Definitely a decision I would have said no. If I was writing the ship on this one and I was saying no, if I had the yes/no thing on that, there's a lot of stuff I would have said yes to. This I would have been a flat no. I would have said, let's, the dancers, this is an in memoriam. I get some people view that as like it's a celebration of life and all that, and some people do celebrate life with, stuff like that. Sure, that's true, but I don't know. The way they've done these in memoriams in the past and stuff, it's a very serious moment. Because this is people's careers here. This is people, not all of them are names we know off the top of our heads, and they're not people we can say, oh, I know every last thing they did. That's not true for everybody. Let's give everybody a moment here, and let us all remember them, look them up afterwards, and say, hey, I didn't know who this person was, but I looked up this person, and I'm glad the Academy singled them out because they had a great career. This is, they did great stuff. I didn't know that they were involved in this film, so on and so forth. So yeah, I just really thought that was a really poor decision. Almost as bad as Amy Schumer's timing on the Ukraine and trans thing at the end. Almost as bad. So, yeah. So yeah, not to bring it down on that level, but yeah, that was, sorry, I was like trying to think if I'd covered everything, but yeah, that was something I definitely wanted to give my 2 cents on, which is, guys, when it comes to this stuff, if you have people singing or whatever, keep it off stage. Let everybody just be able to focus on what they really should focus on in that moment. It's an in memoriam. Let us remember the people. Let's not focus on other people trying to get their moment, their 15 minutes of fame as a dancer. No, I really just did not agree with that sentiment at all. So, okay. Well, we'll see if they can top this next year. Okay, I swear that's the last joke, I swear. But yeah, it's been an exciting season in that way. CODA's come from behind win here in the last few weeks after the SAG award. Wow, that's really entertaining to watch. Not to say that I was, not like I'm saying I'm bored with, Power of the Dog or whatever. But it was like, that's, when we have these years like this and we can catch that upset, in this case it kind of became the favorite by the end, I know. But it's like, to get that momentum switch, to get that correct is something where I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I got that. Because I got it last year with Anthony Hopkins. I'm sorry to humble brag about that, but I am. So I'm glad about that. Yeah, so it's like, I really do like when we have years like that where it's stuff you can fix, or stuff you can catch like that. Now, it's always nice to have those surprises in there, like Moonlight winning. A very pleasant surprise for me was Bong Joon-ho winning over Sam Mendes for director, even though I think they both would have been very worthy choices that year. It's like seeing those are like, that's what the Oscars are all about. And if we want to mention that shall not, we don't talk about Will Smith. If we want to mention that, yeah. If we're talking about the unexpected moments, at least we had that to tide us over, if that's what you're coming to watch the Oscars for. So there we go. Okay, so we will see everybody next year for that. Again, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing in the off season, aside from working a lot, trying to get my second book done. I don't know if I'll have it released by the time next season comes around, but hopefully we'll be close if it's not out. Yeah, so I'll keep hanging in there and doing what I'm doing. You keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, that's it for this year's Oscars. So we will be back for the 2023 Oscars at a glance here. Probably sometime early to mid-August for that stuff. So we'll see you then.